any value in this fight on Saturday night?
Yeah, to be fair, Steve, there's not too often we see trilogy fights, these days. But, in terms of a selection, it's hard for me to look beyond a repeat of what we saw in that second fight. You mentioned the draw in that first fight at the top of the question. That was a completely out of shape Fury. 3 fights back after that 3-year layoff that he had. He absolutely ballooned up on weight after the Klitschko win as well in the interim. And, he still completely outboxed Wilder for the most part in that fight. He hit the canvas twice. But even with that, I thought the draw was harsh on Fury in that first fight. I thought he won the fight by a few rounds. And in the rematch, at least, he figured out the puzzle. Wilder's got effectively one punch in that entire arsenal. That's it, that huge detonator straight right hand of his. But, prior to that, because that right hand was so devastating, fighters literally, were crumpling to the ground off one shot. So opponents, usually more times often than not, were looking to back off Wilder, try and outbox him, keep the fight at range. But, Fury figured it out. Fury figured out that puzzle in that second fight. How do you nullify a straight right hand? Don't let him get it straight. If you go back and watch the start of the second fight, Fury absolutely launches himself at Wilder. He runs straight across the ring in the opening exchange. He took Wilder by complete surprise. Crowded that pocket. He was smothering his shots, putting him off balance, kind of cuffing him around the ring with big shots. And the few times Wilder was able to get that right-hand shot off, Fury simply rolled with it, timed it to such a degree now where, he simply moved out of range. And, since that second fight, look, Wilder's obviously changed trainers. He's now with Malik Scott, a former opponent of his. And after that second defeat, Wilder kind of went into absolute meltdown. He said his trainer, Mark Breland, spiked his water. These are some pretty serious accusations to be coming out with, in fairness. He also said his ring walk outfit was too heavy, that it affected his legs, that Fury had loaded his gloves. Some more serious accusations with weights prior to the fight. He also said Fury had placed a gypsy curse on him, so people were wondering if there was a mental aspect of this. But, he was pretty much saying everything bar giving Fury kind of credit for the win. And, in fairness, for this fight, Wilder does look in phenomenal shape. Rumours from his camp by sparring partners and other people have said that he's looking to, take it back to basics in this fight. He spent the last 18 months working on fundamentals, working on that jab, not just trying to rely on that devastating power to get him out of tight spots. But, Deontay Wilder will be 36 years old at the end of this month. I just don't see personally, what 18 months can do in preparation against a guy as good as Fury. Yes, 18 months gives you enough time to work on some things, iron out some things out, and Wilder's already shown he has a pretty decent jab going into that Bermain Stavern fight, the first one. But, 18 months at the age of almost 36, when you're effectively looking to start from scratch all over again, learning boxing from the off, fundamental-wise, I just don't see it. So, pretty much like we saw against Anthony Joshua 2 weeks ago, I hope Deontay Wilder doesn't automatically think he's some kind of elite level technician now because of what he's learned in training camp over the last 18 months. That's not how this works. We saw with Joshua taking on Alexander Usyk 2 weeks ago that there's levels to this game. That kind of ring craft takes absolutely, years to master. Junior championships, amateur championships, Olympics and so on. And if Wilder does try and go in there to outbox Fury on Saturday night, just like Joshua attempted to do against Usyk 2 weeks ago, he's going to get undressed, in my opinion, and likely in pretty devastating fashion as well. In my opinion, Wilder's best bet heading into this fight is to work on what got him to this point in his career. That absolutely phenomenal right hand. He's looked to refine that, kind of refine that power, work on ways of disguising that shot. That's his money punch. Try and not telegraph it as much. Fury can read him now and, try and land something clean that Fury doesn't see coming. It is a big ask, obviously, but he almost took him out in that first fight, let's not forget. And if he is patient in there, this time around, concedes ground to Fury. Look, don't look to contest that centre of the ring against Fury. He's too big, he's too skilled. Just kind of sit back, wait for your chance, just like we saw in the Lewis Ortiz rematch. One clean punch. Doesn't matter if he's losing the rest of the fight. If that lands, that's like the old Deontay Wilder needs to close the show. But look, for me, I just don't see it happening. Fury looks so much sharper to me right now from how he looked in that first fight. I think there's an absolutely Grand Canyon type of gulf in boxing ability here as well between these two fighters. I don't think Fury gets enough credit for how good he actually is in there. So for me, I think Fury wins by KO again. That's going off at minus 120. I like that. I think Fury's learned his lesson from that first fight about trying to outbox Wilder from range. I think he looked to go straight back to what worked for him in that second fight. Look to close the distance on Wilder from the get-go, leading him, use that advantage in size and weight he has against him as well on the inside, keep him off balance with those big shots. And, as long as he doesn't get too reckless in there, I don't see this fight making it to the championship round. So, yeah, for me in this fight, Fury by KO minus 120, in what I see as a repeat of the second fight.